is 2025. What should the buyer expect here in Halifax, Nova Scotia? So Keith, how you doing today, sir?
Very good. Thanks for having me, Sandra.
You didn't get lost like on your way out?
No, I didn't. It's pretty easy to use Google Maps these days. So.
I know. Can you imagine when we had to use the paper stuff? I used to have to write stuff down.
Yeah, well, my parents just know where to drive now.
I know.
Now I don't know where I'm going unless I put in the GPS. I usually don't even turn my brain on until I've arrived.
I'm with you. So let's just compare last year, what happened with our buyers and, where we anticipate where we're going to end up this year. So this year we had 210. Now I only look at single family homes. I don't look at condos or anything like that. I just want to focus on the family home. Right. There were 350 listings last year. There were only 340. This year, though, we had 210 sales, and last year we had 193. So not a big difference, do you think?
No, I think we will see an increase in inventory, though. The days on market increasing are going to help sellers feel comfortable that if they list their home, they may be able to find something to move to. Yep. Where the last couple of years, I'd come in and talk to somebody and say, I can sell your house in a week. I can't guarantee you're going to find the house you want. Mm-hmm. So that would cause some hesitation, and a lot of people just waited. Now with the market becoming more balanced, I do expect to see a lot more people listing their home, which will hopefully increase inventory. Yeah,
you know what, you bring up a good point, because that was a big fear of sellers, like, where do I go? And but you know what's odd? You talk about inventory and we talk about sales. Since 2016, believe it or not, apart from COVID, we've only ever sold, on average, 4,400 homes. Isn't that wild?
It is.
Yeah. Because when you think like the market's crazy, you look back and, okay, is this the same as it was every other year? Just the difference was the amount of inventory that we had, and it was a more balanced market, like you said, and I think it is about the seller feeling safe.
That's right. Well, even folks that are thinking about moving to an apartment or looking for living to kind of enjoy their later years, there was not a whole lot of rentals. No. So they're not listing their houses, which is leaving a real gap in the inventory in those middle to middle upper price points, and it really helped compress the market. So hopefully we'll see some of that stress ease up through 2025.
Hopefully. So we were on the market. It's odd now. Look at this. So last year it was 52 days, and this year it's 52 days. With that, the average day on market, again, almost a stable market. Where do you see the spring market headed to?
Honestly, I think right now the market is changing, and sellers and realtors working together have to ensure that pricing is on par with exactly what logically makes sense. Obviously, the last couple of years, people would list their house at this price and sell over here, and there's that excitement. So now we're trying to balance the expectations with, hey, we might be able to list your home and maybe we'll get multiple offers, but we can't list it down here and expect to get up here, and we can't list it up here and expect to have multiple offers. We need to be where the market shows that we should be priced, with the hope that we'll get multiple offers, but managing the expectations is hard because sellers think, hey, if you want me to list at $599, why don't we go at $649 and maybe I'll get that much money? Well, if the stats and the comparable sales don't show that money doesn't exist. So all they're going to do is increase their days on market. So
yeah, no, I hear you. It certainly has been a struggle, I think, with some sellers listing high, because what did I say? The average price drop in January was $42,000. So that's, I think I told you, when I'm looking at the stats, I don't look at the list price when it got an offer, but I'm looking at the original listing. Right. And you were surprised to see that.
I was absolutely very surprised. And I think that's exactly what we're saying, is that realtors, because again, the last couple of years, you use logic, but sometimes you're blown away with the price you get. So if somebody says, hey, I know you said here, Sandra, but I'd like to try this, you're probably willing to, okay, let's give it a try and see. But likely you're coaching them and saying, once we hit 30 days, 45, 60 days, we're going to have to make adjustments. So likely what that is agents and sellers going, okay, well, we hoped for this. It doesn't look realistic. Let's start getting to where we probably should have been in the first place, with the hope the spring market will come and then we'll be able to sell our home.
Yeah, it's you can't expect, you talk about COVID, it was unexpected. And there was no strategy. Like I'd go in and, you know, how much you want to get for your house? You'd say, I'd love to get 600. Okay, we're going to list at 499. But prior to that, I don't know about you, like you talk to a seller, you're going to get 97% of asking price.
That's right.
And are you having that conversation with your seller now? You're probably, this is where you're going to end up?
I really am, because I stress to them that if we are outmatched by our competition at a certain price point, we aren't going to get the showings, we're not going to get the positive reviews, and as we start reducing the price, we're going to get an even lower price when we eventually sell than we would have had we listed reasonably with our own competition at the time.
Yeah.
And it's more important these days because sitting on the market, as soon as you do reductions, the buyer's COVID brain goes, oh, what's wrong with this house? It might not be anything, it's just we started too high.
Yeah.
So now we're trying to right size ourselves, and of course it's going to negatively reflect, and then buyers are going to be more kind of inclined to come in and throw lower offers at you.
Oh, I mean, we got an offer the other day. We were only in the 500s and we got it $49,000 under ask. And the agent said, well, Sandra, you know, they bought the house in 2019 and you're selling it for $549. Like, it didn't really get that much money. I'm like, dude, like 24% during COVID. So yes, it did appreciate that much, but it was only what, 8% or something last year?
Well, I mean, we haven't seen the increases that we did in previous years, but you know, what I tell people, look, there's all kinds of people with different backgrounds and different negotiation strategies. It's, you know, if we get a lowball offer, it's great to say, hey, thanks, it's much lower than our expectations or what my comparables show. Here's my counter offer. And sometimes you never know if it will actually come together. It doesn't hurt to write low offers, because I've written some offers that I thought there's no way this is going to come together.
And it did.
And it did. And I'm going, hey, that's wonderful.
You know, sometimes your first offer is always your best offer.
You never know. And people might go in, you know, $70,000 under asking price and be willing to pay close to asking, but you don't know that if you shut the door. You know, so I always tell my clients, listen, I know it's not what we wanted. Let's give them the option to say no instead of just shutting the door in their faces. And, you know, it's like the marketplace strategy on Facebook when you list your $1,000 couch that you paid $4,000 for and somebody wants you to pay $50 and deliver it to Truro. So you just say, hey, thanks for your offer.
Yeah, but do you find, so let's say with any of the buyers that you're working with, so let's say you know a property is overpriced. Are your buyers still willing to write an offer on an overpriced property just to give it a shot? Or they're just like, no, I'm not going to look at it, it's too much money, I'm just going to go somewhere else? What's the mentality you're seeing?
Well, often, you know, they feel that they need to wait until the house has been on the market for a little while. Because if somebody lists $25,000 or $50,000 high, even if you come in at what probably the market value should be on an offer only 7 days on the market, they're probably not going to flex that much.
No, it's consumer confidence.
Exactly. So sometimes you need to let the sellers dwell on the fact that, hey, we're not getting the activity or stuff. I still tell my clients, like, let's go see the house. I'll put a little comparative market analysis ahead of the agent and say, you know, this is my offer, it looks terrible. But, you know, in fact, if you look at the comparables, I don't think it's that bad. Hopefully you can present it to your sellers, and whether the agent agrees with me or not, they'll never agree with me over the phone, but they may in the back of their mind, because that's what they were telling their clients when they listed.
An interesting thing that you do, I've done it as well, but what I did was, and just because I'm aggressive, I don't know if you're like me, people might use a different adjective. I attach the market analysis to the offer and get my client to sign it.
Put the number pages there as well? Oh.
They
have the initial each page.
Then I know they're going to have to see it and they're going to have to sign it.
That's fair enough. You know, sometimes I think realtors are probably having conversations with their clients in the background that are very similar to what buying agents are talking to them about. But of course, as a representative of a seller, you can't say like, yeah, I know we're a little bit high. You know, you're representing the listing price, but at the same time, you go to your client and say, look, he's showing all the same comparables that I talked to you about when we listed. And I think, you know, we should really consider this, even though it looks like a big, you know, gap between listing and selling. The reality is we started too high to begin with.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what price you or I put on it. It's what the market's going to buy it for, right? That's
right. And I do feel that if you do price it appropriately, you do have the potential to get a much higher offer, because sometimes you create the attention, you fit into the right price point, you're a certain area where there's a lot of buyers, and you might get lucky and get above what somebody can estimate. I mean, we try to use logic, but at the same time, sometimes you scratch your head and say, I didn't think that would happen.
Oh, I know.
Wonderful.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I know we have the, the doom and gloom of the tariffs over our head, but there's still a lot of good things for first-time home buyers. Have you seen any of your first-time home buyers coming out of the woodwork now that Christmas is over with the 30-year amortization? Has that made a difference?
I think a lot of buyers kind of stopped because prices, they were just trying to catch the prices. Every time they saved a little bit more of a down payment, the price kept going up.
Yeah.
And the challenge is as a first-time home buyer, they want the coaching, they want the guidance of an experienced agent. And when the agent's saying, they have 17 offers, the last property sold for this, what do you want to pay? Because you don't know where it's going to go. It's hard for these people, in their first time trying to buy a house, to make that kind of decision. And as a realtor, I don't want to tell somebody if you pay 100 over, you'll get the house. That might be way too much. And during the COVID market, we didn't know where they're going to go. So I think the rules changing is going to help. I think the balanced market, kind of the slowing down, the increase in the days on markets, and the better guidance that we can give on pricing when the buyer is ready will really help these folks feel more comfortable and get back into shopping.
So how would you, when you're working with your buyer, how would you coach them to, that you have 17 offers?
Absolutely. Well, at 17 offer standpoint, logic kind of goes out the window.
Yeah.
Usually what I'll do is I'll show individuals what the recent sales in the neighborhood were worth, and I just let them know, look, if you're planning on staying in this house for a long time and you're comfortable paying this price, then let's go ahead and do that. But if you think you're going to move in a year or 2 or 3 years, then paying too much may kind of really impact you. If you're a Brook-Favorite location, you're getting posted back away. I would hesitate to go in aggressively. But if it's the house next to their mom and they're going to be living there for 15 years to raise their family, hey, if they end up paying a little bit more than what the market kind of shows, it's okay. It's worth it to them. It's the value to them, and that's truly what market value is, what a buyer is willing to pay and the seller is willing to accept.
Yeah. Now, are you still submitting like the love letter?
I tell people that they can certainly submit because it won't hurt, but it depends on the person. I find folks who had a long-term family home, that maybe they're widowed and they're selling their home, they'll be more inclined to read about a young couple that has a toddler and feel a little bit more warm. But for the most part, a lot of people are just, what's the number?
I agree.
I don't think it hurts.
No, you're right, because some people are, is it the C personality? Like I'm more of a, the DIS profile.
Yes.
I think I'm more of a D, and that wouldn't compel to me. I just want to know who's the real estate agent I'm dealing with, who's your mortgage broker.
That's right.
And what price are you putting down, and what's your condition dates?
Right.
Because you can have the best offer, and like we had something last night, and the young agent, God love her, she said, well, I had an offer in, and now they want to compete. And I said, talk to me. I said, who was the bank? She said, BMO. I'm like, okay, good stuff. Are they approved? Well, they're going back today, and they just want to confirm it. And I said, I tell you what, I have another house coming up over here. I think that would be better, maybe suited for you, because then your clients would be more prepared, because I don't want to have a deal fall.
Well, you're absolutely right. And, it doesn't always come down to price. I've had scenarios with older houses that need, substantial amount of work, and I'll have 2 offers that are very close, but one is a very experienced agent that understands construction limitations and issues that, are going to come up on an inspection in advance and has that conversation, versus somebody who probably doesn't have that experience to guide individuals, because an inspection is a time to address items of surprise that came up that you need an adjustment for, you need some work done. But if you're walking in and it says don't walk on the deck, could collapse, and you're coming back for an amendment for a reduction on the deck, the sellers and the other agent aren't going to feel very good about that. So you working with that other realtor is really important to me. It makes a big difference knowing that this individual has experienced to guide an individual through a purchase of a home.
Yeah. Are you seeing many deals fall now on financing or home inspection? What would it be?
A lot of times it would be more home inspection. I find, because I'm very adamant about asking individuals, was your client pre-approved? Do they have an actual letter? And when I say pre-approved, not like going to the bank and saying, well, I make $100,000 a year, I don't have any debt. They actually submitted all their tax history and have a stamp of approval.
Yep.
I asked the agent that. And then the biggest challenge is really managing expectations of clients. If you're buying a house for $499 that's detached in Woodlawn, it's not going to be a brand new house.
No.
And there's going to be things that come up, and you're going to have to replace some windows. Now, if the septic pipe is no corrode and it's collapsing, we're going to have to address that with an amendment.
Yeah, because you can't see that.
Exactly. Nobody can. But coming in and saying that some of the windows are wood and they don't open or close, I mean, those are things that people should be able to see with their own eyes. And a lot of times the disagreement causes the deal to fail, which generally I feel is managing expectations for buyers and guiding them through what is going to happen after this accepted offer. That's just the beginning.
Yeah. I started seeing deals fall, I guess, at the end of 2022 when the COVID craze was kind of off. I started pre-inspecting everything because I didn't want, selling your house is stressful enough. Like, if you have dogs and kids and trying to get your house, show ready. Yeah. And then, then to go through the stress of having a home inspection. So I just took it off the table.
Okay. If you can waive that, I mean, it's a lot more comfortable for...
Well, no, I mean, buyers can still do their home inspection. Like, I don't care.
Yep.
But I just, if you're writing on my house, go read the home inspection. Because when you and I agree upon a price, unless my guy missed something, we're done poking the bear. Like, that's it.
Absolutely. And usually what I would do if I was provided a pre-inspection from somebody like yourself listing the home, I would show it to my clients, and it depends on their risk tolerance. If these are people that are in their third home, that are handy, that are comfortable, I feel like, they're going to be able to read this and understand it and be able to handle these challenges. If it's a first-time home buyer, somebody who's not handy, then I would say you may want to get your own inspector to come through this and explain them in layperson's terms. Yes. Because if you read an inspection report, says, ground neutral reverse, risk of fire, hire a certified electrician. Now, if your mom or dad are handy, most of the time we can't recommend that they do it, but a lot of times somebody can do that. But of course, the inspector has to protect themselves from liability.
Absolutely.
If you electrocute yourself and get injured. So usually it's the risk tolerance, but that does allow me at least to review it and go to the client and say, look, when we do our inspection, just know that these things are going to come up and our price is negotiated based on that, which gives you peace of mind, and of course your sellers as well.
Oh, yeah. So if you had to, where do you see us like mid-year? Do you think we're going to be a balanced market? Continue?
I would like it to be. Luckily with Halifax, Nova Scotia areas, we're not as impacted by what's going to happen in the political situation. We don't have one major industry. We're pretty much government is the biggest thing. So I don't see us being totally impacted by, whatever happens with Trump and the tariffs. Now, I would like to see more balance. I think we're going to see more right sizing of the pricing. I think sellers' expectations are going to be a little bit more managed. And as the inventory increases, I think we'll be able to have a little bit more comfort level where buyers can finally purchase something and understand that what they're paying makes sense logically, and that sellers have somewhere to go to after.
Oh, yes, yeah. Any words that you'd want to give to a buyer in 2025?
Well, I think one of the most important things is...
Call you, we'll talk.
Well, call me, of course, or you. Really is educating themselves about what the steps are in advance. And of course, by working with a realtor, they can make sure that not only are they pre-approved, but they're, actually all of the math and all the paperwork is submitted. Because when I go to the bank and submit an offer, if they have to say, Sandra, can we get your pay stubs and your probationary letter for that's going to take a week in itself. Oh. So, I want to make sure that's done. And then just talking and going through houses with clients and telling them some of the things that I see, because they can look at the paint colors and the locations and the neighbors, and I can look more at the mechanical and ins and outs of the home and guide them. So I think, securing a good realtor that you can trust, that is knowledgeable about not only, real estate negotiation, but, the basics of construction, I think will really help somebody, not only get an offer secured, but also close on a sale of an offer that they have accepted.
So important. Well, thank you. you know, I dragged you. This is your first video, isn't it?
It really is.
See, it wasn't that bad.
Not terrible at all.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.